We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular, it's fabulous, you know, it's a different feeling altogether.
I never feel so good in a party yet.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
So good in a party yet. You know why?
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Beun Ofar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. And together we will travel the world.
From 98.1 to CBC TV8 comes the Sooka Avenue, the sweetest soca hour in radio. It's artists with new tunes and some old sweet ones too, jamming on the Sooka Avenue. Saturdays, join AON Skills and the crew down on Sooka Avenue, all new on CBC TV8. Feeling the festival.
From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
My friend, you don't plan to get it? Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it, Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
Welcome to the Cropover Sweet Spot, your go-to show for all things Cropover 2024. We'll dive into the big issues of the day with exclusive interviews with the entertainers, the experts, the movers and shakers of the festival, plus you, the audience. Get to join the conversation and share your views. Tune in to CBC TV8 every Friday night for the ultimate Cropover experience with yours truly, the Admiral. We're big on everything Cropover 2024. The Cropover Sweet Spot, brought to you with the kind compliments of Axel Finance.
Tune in every Friday at 6 p.m. to see me, Chrissy D, on Fashion Flair on CBC TV8. I'll be bringing you the latest fashion trends, fashion ends, and everything in between. Get ready to transform your style, get inspired, and elevate your fashion game with the ultimate guide to looking fabulous. Join me, Chrissy D, this Friday on CBC TV8 at 6 p.m. for an exciting episode of Fashion Flair.
The ultimate cricket showdown is coming to ESPN, and MCTV has got you covered. The ICC Cricket World Cup 2024 is here on ESPN and MCTV. Tune into MCTV channels 302 and 308 and don't miss a single 6, wicket or heart-pounding moment as top teams vie for the 2024 T20 World Cup. From June 1st to 29th, it's cricket you can't afford to miss. Tune into ESPN on MCTV, and for live radio coverage, tune into 94.7. Catch every moment of the ICC Cricket World Cup T20 action.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
You know why?
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another?
Wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning.
Good morning, Barbados. Good to have you with us on this Wednesday, July 24th. I'm Tishia Hines, and here to get your day started the right way. Thank you so much. And we are going to name those 17 who will be going forward to compete against King iWeb, maybe bringing more brains this year. We'll see. All the excitement going down. As my mother would say, this is the last going down now. The last few days of the festival. So I certainly hope you're getting out and enjoying it. And for those people who are here for the festival, just make sure you immerse yourself in it. Enjoy everything. Be safe, be careful, but make sure you enjoy a little bit of Barbadian culture on the outskirts as well. So go to the shops, support the small businesses, make sure you get into Bridgetown and all of that wonderful stuff as well. So we're going to have a good time on today's show. Cecilia Neblett-Brathwaite is going to be here in the segment we call Let's Talk HR with her map. And we're looking at behavior change. She's a behavior change specialist. And we're looking at behavior change in business, which is very, very important. Also, Steve Andrews, master therapist, he will be in today to tell us about Bamboo Retreat. We always love to have the master therapist in. But we're also going to be talking about an upcoming trip to Africa and what a difference that will make. We're looking at cardiovascular surgery with Dr. Lorena Montes, a cardiovascular surgeon from Colombia. She's going to share more information about cardiovascular disease and women and why we need to pay particular attention to what we're doing. Plus, the commemoration of the Day of National Significance is coming up on Friday. There will be the Cropover folk concert that will be after a big presentation earlier in the day to observe that day. Levi King, the external director for the folk concert, is going to be in to share with us. Haven't seen Levi for a minute, so it will be good to have him in. And of course, like I said, we are definitely going to be sharing about the Barbados Defence Force as they look toward the big 45th anniversary celebration that's coming up in August, as we have been for this entire week. So lots to get through this morning, but we want to start with Makeda Bourne, who is a substance abuse prevention officer with the National Council on Substance Abuse, or NCSA. And also here we have Shayna Charles. She's the mother of a former camper of a very successful camp that the NCSA has staged through the years. And Uriah Charles, he is the former camper who's here sharing with us. So good morning to all of you and welcome.
Good morning, and thank you very much.
Wonderful to have you here.
Thank you.
And great to see you, Makeda.
Thank you.
I used to see you more often sitting in another seat.
Indeed,
But it's good to have you here this morning talking about all of the successes, really, of the NCSA. I know that this particular camp is something that you guys boast about because of the levels of success you've been able to achieve through the years. So give us an overview of the camp and how it came to be.
Well, thank you very much. First of all, good morning to Barbados. Thank you for tuning in. So Project Safeguarding Our Future Today is a program of the National Council on Substance Abuse. It was started 23 years ago. We only missed 1 year due to COVID. And so we are celebrating our 22nd year, our 22nd camp. So we are very excited to be one of the oldest programs that have been consistently implemented in Barbados. Project Safeguarding Our Future, also known as Project Soft, it targets children who sat 11 plus of that year. And it has a focus to help children to transition from primary to secondary. But the thing about the program is that we also work with the entire household. So we know that the transition is not only in terms of the physical transition, but there'll be the cognitive and the biological transition as the child moves from that developmental stage of childhood to adolescence. So we work with the family from August to March the following year, where we do the first phase is the camp, where we take them out of the community and we spend 1 week in residence with the children only. And then from there, phase 2, we do follow up with the children. They have monthly sessions, workshops, different tours to reinforce information learned at the camp. And then we have a 12-week program for the parents and guardians of these children, so that it is holistic in helping these children to transition. Why we do this? Research shows that the family is the #1 institution that have introduced young people or children to drugs. So a mother or father may introduce alcohol, for instance. A cousin might be the one that they may get illicit drugs from. So because the family institution, and when I say family, don't change just mother and father, but that extended family as well, is the main ones that they may source their initial drug use from. We have to work with the family, and this is one of the programs that does that.
That's something that's really jarring to hear, but thinking about it, I can see why, these are the people who are around you. And for people who might not think that giving a little alcohol, certainly coming from a culture where people say, oh, just give her a little sip, kill the worms and stuff like that, I can see how that can definitely go awry. Now for you, Shayna, talk to me about how you heard about the camp and why you decided to enroll Uriah.
Well, we all here say, a very good friend of mine, she told me about the camp, and I said, you know what, let me take a try on it. And that's like one of the best things I ever did. To see how far he's come, I am just mind blown, and I will tell everybody I meet about this camp. I mean, it is something that you should try. I mean, the information, the way we are taught as parents as well. I myself, with the same alcohol given to your child, I didn't even know some of that information, and I think that education is the key for us to safeguard our future. And I believe this is a camp that you need to put your child in, especially the transition from primary to secondary, which is like taking a little fish into a big shark tank. This is something that you need to put your child into.
All right, that's beautiful. Now, Uriah, you are getting ready to head into 5th form at Christchurch Foundation School, so congratulations, and a special big up to everybody from Christchurch Foundation. Tell me about how the camp changed, the way you operate. I know that you're a pretty shy guy.
being a quite introverted person, I was quite wary at first with the camp because it was like going to be here with a whole bunch of new faces, not a lot of familiarities going on. So I would say it really helped me break out of my shell and help me expand my range and general field of.
Yeah, good stuff. What are some of the things you learned at the camp? I'm sure you had a lot of friends, you met a lot of new friends and so on, but you maybe share one thing at the camp that you didn't know before, or something that you didn't think was as important as you found it to be after being a part of the camp.
Well, honestly, it was the fact that how easily like drugs can be spread and used. Like a lot of children don't really realize that. Like for example, a lot of people have older siblings that even around the same time, Cropover time, a lot of people like winding down and getting a little loose. So like taming that aspect is what really got to me, and especially the fact that, as I said, being introverted, I didn't really know a lot of this stuff because I wasn't out there with the crowd. So
yeah, so it exposed you to a lot of that in a big way, and that's important because sometimes we have children who live pretty sheltered, maybe based on the fact that they like to be by themselves. And I found, did you do 11 plus in 2020? I find that the little ones who did the 11 plus in 2020, because leading up to, they were at home, still, preparing, kind of waiting for the next shoe to drop when it came to not only when they were going to do the exam, but then when they were going to go into school. The first few years they were at home and working online. All of that, I would imagine, had to be taken into consideration in taking care of these little ones. But with 23 years behind you, you were able to make it work.
Oh, yes. 2020 was a very challenging year. And that year, because we had the challenges of COVID, as you mentioned, instead of doing a sleep-in camp, we did a day release camp. So only the staff remained in residence. And then we allowed the children to come in daily. And then, you had all the different health checks. We have a nurse that stays in the camp. We have security. So we had to up that basically to increase and make sure that every child and staff member remained safe, healthy, well, protected. We followed the guidelines that were issued at each point by the Ministry of Health. And we had no incidences at the camp. And over the 22 years of having the camp, that is something, thank God, and we pray always continue that we have had great successes in terms of children who are introvert as well. And normally when persons think of children at risk, this is something we want to get out to parents. Most of the time you think it has to come from a certain community or from certain parents or so forth. But guess what? Children that grow up in homes that parents are doing their very best, and that primary school might be that age student, can be at risk when they enter secondary school for drug use. And we understand universal programming at NCSA. We understand at that stage of transition, every single person is at risk. So we need to increase their protective factors. So if they have very good homes, we want to make it better. If they're coming from challenges home, we want to improve that. So we don't pick and choose in terms of who can come to the camp, though we have selected positions for those that are the traditional definition of at-risk students. But we also have spaces for that universal child that may seem as if nothing may happen, because as we know, there are many challenges that they may face when they go into secondary schools. And if they are not trained, if they're not educated and given the skills to navigate, all of us know and have seen over the years how these children that were in primary school that were probably A students and they were well students, that went after the transition and the experience being bullied, the experience being overwhelmed by a big school, overwhelmed by a huge number of students, overwhelmed by their bodies changing and not knowing how to handle that. These are key things, teachers, that we understand and we work with the children and the household. Because a lot of people don't even know things like children grow at night. So when children grow at night, you go to sleep and your hand is one length, for example. And you accustomed reaching just there to reach the cup. But the next morning, your child get up with the mindset that I'm reaching the same length, but guess what? They knock over the cup. they're knocking down furnitures. They're trying to squeeze through a space that they squeeze through. All the time I got through, but all of a sudden when they went through, they knock over the vase. And then we say that, you know, are you clumsy?
Yeah.
Are you blind? But no, all of that is part of transition because their brain has to catch up with what is happening with their physical bodies. All these things we let parents know so that can help them to transition with the child and alleviate a lot of the stress that can lead to someone using a drug to cope.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's important. And I saw you nodded in agreement, Shayna. So from the perspective of a parent, you said that you were able to learn quite a bit as well. Talk to us about how the camp impacted you and changed maybe how you engage and interact with Uriah.
Yeah, you know, sometimes being a boy mom, you might want to keep them from getting into gangs because he's introverted. So he's not going to be out there sociable like most boys hanging out with rowdy people and everything. But there's some boys that are going to want to hang out with rowdy people to just have that like big up, having name and clout. So learning from the camp, I was able to know his changing of his body, how to interact with him when he has certain issues, not to talk to him, like yelling or talking down to him. So all that education, I was dealing with him not just on a basic level, but a holistic level. So that is why I said I will tell not just the child, but you have a family coming together to educate, to make this child a whole being going forward. So that's why I was nodding with everything that Makeda was saying.
Makeda, how do we get to be a part of the camp?
Okay, first of all, I want parents to know this camp is free. Well, free to the parent, you don't have to pay. Corporate Barbados, we chose and we are reaching out to them to sponsor so that that cost is covered. So feel free to call NCS at 535-6272, like 535-6272 or 535-NCSA, and you can get more information. We do have spaces left, so call today and get your child names in, get your booking in. Registration will officially open next week, Monday. But guess what, Tisha? Because we have a lot of parents who are pretty happy with the outcomes of their family, they are the champions of the program. So I think already without advertising and without opening registration yet, we already have, I think, when I look at but yesterday, 23 bookings of individuals. And we have some spaces that even some organizations have called and said, listen, I want 5 spaces, I want 6 spaces. So we want parents that you call today and get your space in so that you're not disappointed.
All right, and finally, most importantly, what would you say to someone looking on about getting their child enrolled?
Honestly, don't be shy about it. Don't be worried. Let them go because it's all the natural process of change. Just let it roll. Let it roll.
Good stuff. Let it flow. So, you know, great advice. Make sure you get it. I don't know how Makeda is telling me registration is opening Monday and spaces are already gone. That defeats the purpose of registration.
People call in.
Because if you can register before you have to register there. But I totally understand. I would imagine there are parents who would have younger children who would want them to experience what some of the older ones did. And, you know, I want to thank you both for coming in and sharing with us.
You're welcome.
Have a great summer. Any special plans? I don't get a summer. Any special plans?
Not exactly.
Yeah, you're just going to be painting. Because I heard that you're a very good visual artist, as is Mommy.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. I look forward to you coming back and sharing some of the fantastic pieces you do during the summer, all right?
Yes, please.
Good stuff. And I look forward to hearing more from you. Remember that number is 535-6272, or you can WhatsApp them at 230-1250. Email ncsa.info@barbados.gov.bb and get in there. A few spaces are left. And if you have some little ones who took the 11 plus, it's a good way for to help them transition into secondary school. We know the challenges can be a little different. New friends from different environments, fitting in, just basically thriving. They're going to help not only the children, but also the parents to get past it. You know, all types of things are going through my head. So Makeda, you definitely have to come back. And
Sure.
of course, we have to say a special good morning to everyone at the NCSA. We were very happy for them to come in and share the results of the recent survey. We definitely saw those results, which means that we have to take a handle more on what's happening within our households. All right, with that said, Project Soft is just a little ways away, so make sure you get in there and register. Time for a break here on Morning Barbados. When we come back, we are celebrating with the BDF. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Beun Ofar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb, and together we will travel the world.
From 98.1 to CBC TV8 comes the Sooka Avenue, the sweetest soca hour in radio. It's artists with new tunes and some old sweet ones too, jamming on the Sooka Avenue. Saturdays, join AON Skills and the crew down on Sooka Avenue, all new on CBC TV8. Feeling the festival.
From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
My friend, you don't plan to get it? Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
29 minutes now before 7 o'clock. As we told you, this year the Barbados Defence Force is celebrating the 45th anniversary of its establishment under the theme Proven Excellence, Shaping a Promising Future. I have two gentlemen joining me this morning that I'm more than happy to see. Of course, we have Major Alfred Taylor, who is the Cadet Executive Officer with the Barbados Cadet Corps. And they, of course, are celebrating a major accomplishment themselves. But you'd recognize Major Taylor from kind of sharing the spotlight with me for the nation's independence celebrations. This is the gentleman who would have guided us through things. So good morning and welcome.
Good morning to you. Good morning, Barbados.
Great to have you here. And Colonel Errol Brathwaite. Now, I've known this gentleman since I was maybe, 11 years old?
Just about.
So wonderful to have you here, Commandant. Now, Cayman Islands Cadet Corps and former Commandant with the Barbados Cadet Corps as well. Yeah? Was a teacher at my former school, so this is one of my former teachers. I'm very, very excited to have both of you here. And I'm going to start with you, Major Taylor, to talk a little bit about the Barbados Cadet Corps, a 120th anniversary celebration that's been in the works for a little while. So talk to me about the Corps and what you've been able to accomplish through the years.
Right. So first, let me make the connection between the Cadet Corps and the Barbados Defence Force. Of course, the BDF is celebrating its 45th anniversary, and it just happens to coincide with the 120th anniversary of the Barbados Cadet Corps. And I don't know if people realize it, but the Barbados Defence Force is made up of 3 distinct units: the Barbados Coast Guard, Barbados Regiment, and the Barbados Cadet Corps. So we are pleased to be here to kind of represent both entities this morning. The Cadet Corps was actually at the heart of the establishment of the Barbados Defence Force back in 1979, when it became a full-time entity. Many of the first young officers were former cadets. Indeed, former chiefs of staff. A great number of them were cadets themselves. So cadetting has always been at the heart of, productivity in Barbados.
And for you, Colonel Brathwaite, how do you think cadetting has shaped in continuing from what Major Taylor said, a lot of the people who pass through cadets? I know that you were very actively involved as well from the secondary stage.
Indeed, the Barbados Cadet Corps and cadet corps and forces across the Caribbean region and even farther afield have always been a fundamental part of the development of young people in terms of, if I use myself as an example, if I use Major Taylor as an example, we both served as cadets together, going to summer camp every summer, learning some of the fundamentals of life that we did not get in the classroom. We focus on development of education, coming to camp or going to camp every year, skills like leadership, skills like teamwork, conflict resolution, those type of skills are the ones that we are able to hone, or that we were able to hone as a young individuals before adulthood.
Oh, that's wonderful. I know you are Commandant with the Cayman Islands Cadet Corps. You were former Commandant here at the Barbados Cadet Corps. Talk to us about maybe some of the subtle differences that you see as you move across to different spaces.
Yeah, so a very interesting question, Tisha. What really brings me here to Barbados this time around is that we are participating in the 37th Caribbean Cadet Association's Commandant's Conference. So that brings about 23 individuals from across the Caribbean region to discuss the business of youth development through cadetting. So when you look at Cayman Islands, as you do across the other regions of the Caribbean, we do very similar activities, coming together as commandants to look at what we do to kind of standardize the activities in which we participate, all the similarities, and ensuring that the policies to guide what we continue to do are there for those who are currently serving and those who will come after us.
I know that you just had a major passing out parade just a few weeks ago. And I was mentioning to someone just yesterday, I think on the show as well, that I thought I saw way more girls than guys in that particular passing out. Has it always been that way where you've had, a larger contingent of maybe girls as opposed to boys as a part of cadets?
It is something that we are monitoring very closely. I think the girls are just about to outnumber the boys, which is okay, except that me making an appeal for some more women to come and join the Corps of Officers of the Cadet Corps, because we'll need those numbers for supervision. We know that back in 1974, the first girls came into the Barbados Cadet Corps, and we've been celebrating that as well. And it's grown steadily from there. And in fact, just last year, we have our first all-female cadet company at the Springer School. So we're doing okay. The girls are doing very well. There's absolutely nothing in our cadet syllabus that they don't master. But we do need a few more women to come and join us.
All right, good stuff. Talk to me about the 120th calendar of events.
Yes, we still have a few activities to go. We have a wonderful tattoo lined up for coming, and we have also a grand concert. And also there is the Run Cadet Run. So still plenty of 120th anniversary activities to go.
All right. Based on your experience, I'm so intrigued to hear. I know that Major Taylor, he told me before that he was a cadet, and we discussed how many cadets usually move into being a part generally of the regiment and so on. So talk to me about your kind of growth through the organization. I know for a while you were a reserve because you were also a teacher as well. So talk to me about your rise through the BDF and how it has shaped the type of person you are.
So interestingly enough, my rise or my path through the Barbados Cadet Corps is what really led me into education. So you go to camp as a youngster, you develop all of your leadership skills from a very early age. I think I was about 13 when I was asked to teach my first lesson to my peers. And that's where it started. So I grew up delivering lessons. Then as I left school, I moved into the reserve element of the Barbados Defense Force, attached to the Cadet Corps, and of course went off to Teachers College. And all of the tutors, when they came to see me deliver my lessons, they said, well, you know, this young man is a natural. And I smiled. It wasn't that I was a natural at all. It was simply that I had the experience and the exposure of being a cadet. So not only does it lead you into the services, the uniformed services, but also in any sphere of life. For example, persons like Rihanna, you may not know, she served as a cadet. We have former Governor General in the person of Sir Clifford Husbands. He too was a cadet, former Chief of Staff, Brigadier Lewis and others. They too served as cadets.
So what about you, Major Taylor? Your path?
Well, cadets was everything to me at school. And of course, I got involved in music through the cadets and the cadet band. And it's really responsible for a lot of who I am and what I've been able to do. Something I highly commend to any secondary school child. Building your confidence, building your ability to be a good leader, conflict resolution. And this has happened for many generations. Many people in government in Barbados, in the public service, right across the board, all through the Cadet Corps. And if you speak to them, they will tell you that they attribute a lot of their success to the foundation they had in the Cadet Corps, and no different for me.
Absolutely. I think it's a very timely discussion as well, certainly for the conference that you're here for, to be able to talk about how you can help shape and mold young people through cadetting.
Yes, indeed.
So it must be a very interesting session that's happening, or interesting sessions that are happening with you. What are some of the high points or most memorable things that you can share with us from your time as head of the Barbados Cadet Corps here in Barbados?
Well, certainly, you know, looking at the Barbados Cadet Corps as the oldest continuous cadet corps across the region, and the significant part it would have played in the development not only as individuals, but as a nation. Because if we can continue to instill values in our young people, you can understand the type of society that we will kind of develop. Bearing in mind that if we don't harness the positive energies, some other entity will be able to influence our young boys and indeed our girls. So as the former commandant of the Barbados Cadet Corps, my perhaps highlight would have been seeing that continuity of youngsters coming in their larger numbers to join the Barbados Cadet Corps, and also extending a hand to the Boy Scouts Association, the Girls Guides, and encouraging other youth groups where they do not have the manpower. Then we jump in there to facilitate that assistance as far as is possible. So working together, not that we want to capture all the young people in Barbados, but we want to work together in building capacity. So for me, that at the time as my service as commandant, I would say was one of the major highlights.
And what would be wrong with that, capturing all the young people in Barbados? You definitely will have to build on capacity. But for you, Major Taylor, high points for you?
High points is the way that we are expanding the offerings of the Cadet Corps. We have the band, of course. We have the Sea Cadet division, which is 250 strong and growing. We have a cadet catering unit. We have a cadet medical unit. And just recently, we launched our technical engineering digital unit, where we engage in robotics and drone piloting and a range of skills, including photography and videography. Because our cadets, we want them to be marketable. I'd like it said that when you go into workplace or you're going to public service, somebody can immediately tell that was a member of the Barbados Cadet Corps. From their bearing, from their discipline, from their respect, from their leadership potential. That's what we want to create, not just for the individual, but for our country, Barbados.
Oh, that is indeed beautiful. And it's just wonderful to see that the two of you who are here really came through the ranks, because you need no better endorsement than from the people who've lived it, who've experienced it, to share about how you've come through the ranks and how it has shaped the lives that the two of you are living. So it's wonderful to hear. For any parent or young person looking on, tell them how they can become a part of the Barbados Cadet Corps.
Very easy. Speak to the officer in charge of your cadet company at your school, or indeed speak to one of your school friends who may be a cadet. And the process is very simple. They'll sign you up. You'll have to get your medical records done, etc. Online sign up, and you're good to go. We'll take you through a period of recruiting, and then we'll take you through the stages of your cadet career.
All right, good stuff. Final word for any young person or parent looking on as to why they should join?
So making the Caribbean and the world smaller or closer through cadetting, knowing that wherever you go across the world, perhaps, you're going to find young individuals who are involved in activities to develop them positively. That is the Cadet Corps, whether it be the Barbados Cadet Corps, the Cayman Islands Cadet Corps, Jamaica Combined Cadet Force, wherever. We are focusing on positive youth development.
That's very, very, very timely. All right, so thank you both gentlemen for coming in and sharing with us this morning about the Barbados Cadet Corps. And, you know, it's great to kind of put in perspective that the Barbados Cadet Corps kind of stands shoulder to shoulder as a way for young people to make their way into. What's the percentage, again, you told me before, of young people who transition from the Cadet Corps into?
It's about 80% these days.
That's pretty high.
It's pretty good, pretty good.
It's pretty high, that's excellent. So thank you so much, Major Alfred Taylor, who is the Cadet Executive Officer of the Barbados Cadet Corps, and Colonel Errol Brathwaite, Commandant for the Cayman Islands Cadet Corps and former Commandant of the Barbados Cadet Corps. Thank you both. A former teacher too, my former teacher. So good stuff. Time to take another break here on Morning Barbados. We're heading up to the 7 o'clock hour, but we definitely want you to stay tuned.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
My friend, you don't plan to get it? Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it, Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
Welcome to the Cropover Sweet Spot, your go-to show for all things Cropover 2024. We'll dive into the big issues of the day with exclusive interviews with the entertainers, the experts, the movers and shakers of the festival, plus you, the audience. Get to join the conversation and share your views. Tune in to CBC TV 8 every Friday night for the ultimate Cropover experience with yours truly, the Admiral. We're big on everything Cropover 2024. The Cropover Sweet Spot, brought to you with the kind compliments of Axel Finance.
Tune in every Friday at 6 p.m. to see me, Chrissy D, on Fashion Flair on CBC TV 8. I'll be bringing you the latest fashion trends, fashion ends, and everything in between. Get ready to transform your style, get inspired, and elevate your fashion game with the ultimate guide to looking fabulous. Join me, Chrissy D, this Friday on CBC TV 8 at 6 p.m. for an exciting episode of Fashion Flair.
The ultimate cricket showdown is coming to ESPN and MCTV.
All right, time for us to pick our books up and enjoy a little bit of reading. So joining me now is Crystal Prescott, who is an author, and her book is called To New Beginnings. So good morning to you, Crystal. Good to have you here.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, congratulations on your book. And you've brought it along. Very, very intriguing cover. Interesting colors. Love it. Talk to me about how you got into writing, first of all.
I would say from a very young age, I had an interest in writing fanciful stories. And you know, you would watch a movie or you would read a book and you're like, oh my goodness, I would change that ending. So I always had a love for it. Even when there was Wattpad. A couple years ago, I remember when I was in secondary school, there was Wattpad and you would read these fanciful novels. So sometimes I would just go and like jot down certain things. I would write my own stories, never published anything. I only got to about chapter 4 or 6 or so. But as I got older, I told myself, I would really like to write. I really like to, do a story and have my own romantic ending, someone like that.
And you classify your book as a Christian romance novel.
Yes.
Was that something that you had seen before and were intrigued by, or is it an area that you completely thought, hey, this is an area that I want to get into with no real provocation?
I would say probably the former. I had read a few books from author Nicole Taylor, and they were all Christian romance as well. And I saw how she developed her characters, how she intertwined biblical standards, and I told myself, well, this is interesting, and I guess this is the life you should follow in terms of the standards that the characters had. And I said, well, okay, we could do that. So then I just had the idea, well, I can start writing. And like I said, I always liked writing, romance was always my interest. And I figured, well, okay, if I'm going to write a romance novel, God has given me this talent to write. He has given me this interest. So why not use it to glorify Him as well? So I just put that spin on it.
How long did it take you from the time you decided you were going to write to where you have the book here before you in your hand?
I started it in, I think, December 2019. And then when I was going over the manuscript, I said, this is not it. It was too far beyond. And I said, well, okay, let's delete these things and start fresh. So I started it again in January 2020, and I finished it in August. And I was constantly editing and changing and writing different scenes. And I said, listen, if you don't put this down and publish, you would be forever changing. So I would say about 8 months.
When you say it was too far beyond, what do you mean?
Not realistic. I had some things about amnesia, and it was going too far. And I said, listen, I don't think this will happen in real life. I mean, there's nothing new under the sun, according to the Bible. But I told myself, okay, I want something that when you read it, you don't think, all right, this is too fairy tale, this is too far out there. I wanted to write something where persons read it, they would say, okay, I can relate to this.
It's relatable.
Yes. I wanted when young adults read it, older teens, like I say 15, 16, because that's the age where you say you want a boyfriend or whatnot. Well, I said, well, I want to encourage young people to, follow biblical standards in their romance life. And I said, well, as I said, I want it to be relatable, so not something that's so far-fetched where they're like, well, that can't be made by a long shot, All
right, good stuff. So let's talk about the book itself. And the story, the plot behind it.
Okay, well, it starts with this lady, Sheila Stanford. She's a Christian. She grew up in a Christian home. However, you know, she was always told, you know, you grow up in a church, you would get married to somebody who's a Christian as well. But she decides to do her own thing, and she dates this guy who is not a Christian. So the first couple chapters, you see how that story progresses, that dynamic between them. And I guess after some time, the relationship sours, and she decides that she's going to, you know, leave her past behind her and move forward. The thing with reality and leaving your past behind you is that it's not always that simple. So sometimes you say, I'm going to move on, but something catches up to you. So the later chapters, you're going to see what's the twist. And somebody was asking me about it the other day, and I said, well, I can't give away, but I gave them some suggestions. So it could be a death that she has to deal with. It could be a pregnancy that she has to deal with. Suppose it's an STD that she caught. Suppose it's just he come back, and if they end up rekindling, if she meets somebody new, how does he deal with it? So that's really it. And within the plot, you see how she uses biblical standards, or strays away from them for that matter, to really chart her life forward.
All right, interesting. And you talked about wanting younger people, so you know, teens from around 15 to be able to kind of relate to what you're writing in this book, reflecting on your own life and looking at those novels that you would have read. Does this book now kind of bridge the gap on what you would have liked to hear or learn or see that was relatable at that age as well?
What I would say to that is, you know, when you're younger, you watch a lot of movies. So you see, for example, some movies that I would have watched and see my older sister watching. So like Pretty Little Liars and all these various series that you have on television, and you see how the romance is developed. And I find that you hear, you know, you have to live a little and enjoy your life, but unless you really get into church or have those moral standards growing up, you're not really advised sometimes to wait on marriage. I guess when the date is over, you get home, you don't linger around. Pray, be guided by who you interact with. Sometimes you just see a guy, he's handsome, you think, oh, maybe this is the one, and you go. But the main thing that I have in here is biblical standards, because there's this thing where I guess that a gentleman told me, Christian romance, you never would think to put those two together. And I was like, why not? Christians, they are some are romantic as well. So I guess to bring it home, I wanted to give the audience, especially they said younger persons as well as their early adult life, you know, there are other genres that you could immerse yourself in if you want to get closer to Christ and see how you can live a Christian life in the dating world.
Now, you're pretty young. Just 20 years old, so congratulations. 23. So congratulations on being able to kind of make this accomplishment so early, become an author.
Thank you.
So early on, and hearing what that gentleman said to you, you know, I guess if people are honest, that maybe is what a lot of people are thinking, if only because of our cultural upbringing, how we think about Christians. And I think it's only in recent times that we've heard about much discussion about romance and so on within the open congregation. So is this something that when you tabled it maybe to the family or friends and parents, that they were like, I'm not sure, or were they all in from the outset with you talking about writing a Christian romance novel?
I would say they were a bit intrigued. They were like, okay, how's that gonna go? But my aunt, she is a devoted Christian. My mom as well. We all try. So they were very supportive, and they were definitely telling me, you know, you can go for it. Try something new, you know. So they welcomed the opportunity for me to do this, and they encouraged me. I would say they did that.
What was it like to get it published?
Oh, well, it's not a very long process, I would say. So you write the manuscript, and I self-publish it through Kindle Direct Publishing. So they had a few guidelines. So for example, you had to upload the manuscript, and you had to upload the book cover. So after I wrote it, you look at the pages, you see, well, you can gauge based on the stories that you read and the books that you read, how thick the book will be. So you would explain the dimensions to the site that you're buying it from. I believe I bought mine from self-publishers, but it sent me an email recently, so that name changed. I cannot remember what the name has changed to. So I bought the cover. I would have uploaded everything via Kindle Direct Publishing, which is the manuscript and the book cover. You choose what kind of finish you want, whether you want a matte or glossy. You choose the page colors that you want, if you want the page to be white or cream.
So you're definitely very, very involved with all of what would be fine details for a publisher. You're technically kind of working on all of that stuff yourself.
Well, yes, because it's Kindle, so it's a self-publishing platform.
Yeah.
So you really do have to read and be like, okay, this is how you want it. So you have to envision how you want it, and then they give you a preview as well. And you can order, I guess, draft copies to see if it's to your liking, and then you can make the changes. So I think up to a few months ago, I made 1 or 2 changes, like a spelling change or something like that. And so you can always update it.
All right.
And it would just be live.
That's beautiful stuff. Where can we get your book?
Well, you can purchase it on Amazon. It's on Amazon for $2.99 if you're buying the ebook copy, and the paperback is for $15.99. But I bring in some, and I sell them for $40.
All right, that's beautiful stuff, and we're looking forward to other maybe other books in a series, who knows, or different novels down the line?
Yes, possibly.
All right, so look out for this name, Crystal Prescott. To New Beginnings is this one, and I think I will definitely pick that up for my little people and let them have a read. I get back to them on that. So again, congratulations, and it's been wonderful to have you in the next chapter.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate it.
All right, so make sure you pick that up. You can get it on Amazon, or you can reach out to Crystal. Can we find you on Instagram?
Yes, please.
At
CISHANI123.
Okay, so that's CISHANI
123.
123. That's easy enough. I'm going to make sure I go follow right now. You go follow as well. Grab the book, read it, and then we can have a discussion about it. Congrats again.
Thank you.
And thanks for coming. All right, 7:01, time for a break on Morning Barbados, but stick around. We have a lot more coming up.
The ultimate cricket showdown is coming to ESPN, and MCTV has got you covered. The ICC Cricket World Cup 2024 is here on ESPN and MCTV. Tune into MCTV channels 302 and 308, and don't miss a single six, wicket, or heart-pounding moment as top teams vie for the 2024 T20 World Cup. From June 1st to 29th, it's cricket you can't afford to miss. Tune into ESPN on MCTV, and for live radio coverage, tune into 94.7. Catch every moment of the ICC Cricket World Cup T20 action.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
All right, welcome back on this Wednesday. And I must tell you, today is the day that we announced we're going to take a break. I was telling you from last week, but Morning Barbados will be off the air for about 2 weeks. We're going to be back on August 12th, but we will be sitting back and enjoying the Olympics. So we have 4 athletes who are participating in the area of swimming, of course, triathlon. We have a triathlete, running, and there's one more. The guys are going to help me. That's right. So we are going to take a pause for the games in Paris. But we're still encouraging you to stay tuned to TV8 because there's lots happening. and we are going to be bringing you all of action. So make sure you keep viewing for that. Time to delve into a segment that we love to have every single week. Let's talk HR with Hermap. And today, we're going to get into a very, very interesting discussion. This lady, when she comes, she usually is wearing several different hats. So today, she most certainly is wearing a different hat in sharing with us. And it's a very interesting topic because she is also a behavior change specialist. Cecilia Neblett-Brathwaite, she's the business director of behavior change business. And today we're getting into the characteristics of a high value worker in the context of behavior change. So good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Always wonderful to have you here with us at Morning Barbados. And just before we came on, we were talking about some of the wonderful vegetables that I have shared in from your garden.
Yes, please. Thank you. I always share them with the host.
That's beautiful. All right, so behavior change specialist. Let's start there. Why do you think it's necessary to have behavior change specialists in our world of work?
Well, behavior underpins everything that we do. Behavior guides and directs the way we operate on a day-to-day basis. So that's basically it. We can have a behavior change person at CBC. So we're looking at how you interview, your interviewing techniques. You're looking at getting the best, optimizing whatever relationship you have with your customer.
All right, interesting stuff. And they say that it's very difficult a lot of the times to change things like organizational culture. I know when it comes time to make major changes, whether it is enhancing through technology or making changes through retrenchment and so on, those are some of the major areas that we consider when we think about behavior change. So what are some of the specific areas that you feel like we need to concentrate a lot more on as business people, as businesses, to be able to kind of attract and retain what's being called a high value worker?
Yes, good question. We need to look at our interviewing techniques and interviewing skills. We need to look at what characteristics makes a high value worker, a person who is dedicated, who brings their experiences and their skills to the table, who positively influence workers, specialized training, and they improve the profitability of the company. So when you're hiring, make sure that you specifically look at these characteristics. I was speaking to your director yesterday, Dr. Jackie Wilcher, and she was saying to me, she looked at a matrix, and she was saying, Cecilia, I had a psych matrix and I don't think that it represented me accurately. So then we went through the process and it did, but she was not able to understand where she was at any point in her where she's at because she's retired. So I was telling her, she said that she didn't recognize that she was strategic in the process of her work. I said, yes, you were, because you were at the Government Information Service, you were at CARICOM, now at the Ministry of People Empowerment as a consultant. So yes, you were strategic, but she thought strategic meant that she went out of her way to basically bring herself to this point in her life. So we need to be able to understand where we're at and where we're going when we're looking at employment, when we're looking at retention, when we're looking at developing our frameworks to guide the process through our organization.
The type of organization, the type of individual who is deemed a high value employee,
yes.
Does it change from business to business, or are there certain characteristics that carry through no matter what sector you're a part of?
It can change from business to business, and there is certain characteristics. You must be dedicated. You must be a people or team leader. You have to be confidential, because, for example, the QEH, you have to be confidential. You have to work with the objectives and the missions of the organization. For example, at Walmart, I was doing a study, and I recognized that Walmart would always hire their managers who live close proximity to Walmart, so that you would have a relationship with the community. So you have to be community oriented as well, especially for journalists and persons who work, intimately with people.
All right. So how do we work on changing things like hiring practices? Because, as I mentioned, some organizations get into certain cultures. in terms of what they do, what they look for, how people behave generally. And it's not necessarily the most efficient way to do things, but because people get accustomed to doing them a certain way, then it's difficult to kind of move them away from it. So where do you start to be able to make changes?
You start at leadership, and you start the manager understanding the goals and objectives and the missions of your organization. You begin with knowing what kind of employee you want. You begin with wanting high value workers. You recognize now that we're talking about bringing persons from CARICOM to work in Barbados. So we want to make sure we get those high value workers. So how would we create framework that would make sure that we encourage persons we want persons to be interviewed in such a way that we get the best out of the interview. We want persons to recognize the cultural differences. We want persons to recognize where we are, because you recognize that in certain countries, the elderly is recognized, and it may not be as recognized here as in other countries like Guyana, where the Indians value their elderly more, and places like China. So we have to make sure that when we are interviewing, we look at the culture, we look at the person's determination to work, if they have their objectives, if they meet our objectives and our requirements. We look at even retention plans, because on the first time we have an employee, we have to look at retaining them. I watched the interview yesterday with the Barbados Defense Force, and I congratulate them because they saw the soldier and they saw his potential from the first time he was recruiting. Yeah. So even from the recruitment stage, they recognized where he was going. They saw the special characteristics. And I also want to say congratulations to Captain Drakes, because I knew him from a Lance Corporal, and I recognize the process that he took to get to where he is at now. So we have to have frameworks in place, even from our interviewing stage, that a person can be encouraged to develop themselves through experiences, through career development, and these are all things to get through being dynamic in the organization. Because I recognize in some spaces, you go into an organization, you're saying, for example, I want to become a journalist, and they take you on that path and that trajectory. Let's say you wanted to be a camera person, then that may be a challenge. You have to be able to be flexible. You have to have more than one talent in today's world. I work at the QEH. I am a qualified chef, and I did law, I did social work, I taught, and I realized that in doing all of those things, I worked with the church, I did theology, and I realized in all those things that brought me into a solid foundation for behavior change. I can even work within my office, because right now I'm doing my research in sustainable development. Because I am a behavior change specialist, I'm the only one in the civil service. So I recognize that there is a need for me to understand different disciplines. So like the soldier yesterday who said that they're working in cyber, and they're working part-time at First Caribbean Bank, and they're working doing other things. We have to employ dynamic employees, because a high-value worker is required to have all of these things in this changing world.
For a long time, that was frowned upon, though, for people to kind of have their tentacles out and do a lot of different things. Even now, there is some research that will argue that you really cannot what we call multitask or do a number of different things. But I certainly can see how, kind of looking at different disciplines can make you a master.
Or working in different areas in the organization, because sometimes we in Barbados, I recognize that we keep persons working in one area. And because, for example, I'll give you an example for myself, I work at QEH, and I worked at every department, including the morgue.
Okay.
I worked in X-ray, records, lab, accident emergency, spent more than 5 years in dietary, so I'm able to better understand, how people feel. I worked in HR, so you have to be able in this dynamic landscape to work in many different areas in the organization to be a high value worker. So I would just be considered as high value because I choose to make myself marketable. Even sometimes it can be voluntary. So if you're not allowed to do something, you can ask your boss, can I just volunteer for a couple of minutes so that I can get the experience I need? So when the position is open, that I can be the first candidate, that they would probably look at because I've now gained that experience.
Well, even in the way we speak, I think that is deterred in a big way. I know a lot of people say, a jack of all trades and a master of none, and they end at that. But that's not the full quote. The full quote is, a jack of all trades and a master of none is better than a master of one.
Yes.
And nobody ever adds that last part onto it, because I suppose, you know, that spin sounds negative. So we talked a lot about the recruitment, bringing new people in. What about the people who are already in the business? And I would imagine that can be as difficult when you're trying to maybe change policies or procedures, or, you know, just make things different, more efficient in a business. So how do you get staff generally on board toward behavior change?
Continuous training. I always say train up the child the way it should go, when it's old, it would not depart. So from the time that you are recruited, then there's training. Middle management, there's training. High level management, there's training. There's even training for your helpers. There's training for your security guards. I want to say that I think that your makeup artist is a high valued worker, because
I agree.
I come here every morning, and no matter how I feel, she makes me so happy. She talks to me and she calms me down. And it may seem that she's not playing a big part in this whole scheme of things, but she's the person that makes this interview along with yourself, because she makes this interview easy for us, because she prepares us from there to meet you. So we have to strategically look. A high value worker is not only the manager, the accountant, the HR. A high value worker is some person who is strategic in their role with respect to the whole scheme of things. So I think that the soft skills are also important in having a high value worker, or communication, or good customer service. Make sure that you may be passing the corridor, ask you see someone in the foyer, are you being attended to?
Yeah.
Because they maybe they're waiting for someone for a long time, and that would just breach the wait sometimes to show them that you care.
We have such a long way to go, Cecilia, because from where we've come from in Barbados, with people being very polite and kind at the basic, we're a long way from that. And sometimes in institutions you do not expect that there would be challenges. So in closing up this particular segment, and of course this is a discussion that, you know, we'd have to have for a few sessions to be able to truly explore it. Do you see that, you know, there are differences based on generations? Because now we're hearing that there are a lot of employers who are complaining about Gen Zers, for example. One gentleman said that he fired one Gen Zer, and the father called to find out why and to scold him. And so I guess the generation before would have to go for it, but you never heard of people putting their parents to call to complain. And another lady was talking about, she came in and the Gen Zer she had her feet up on the table, she had a blanket, she was on her phone, and she figured that was okay because she wanted to take a nap in the middle of the work day. I don't know, so has it changed generation to generation in terms of how they view how work should be done?
Yes, the one I want to say is that her mother is very proactive in their approach to human resources, because we have a webinar on the 29th about multi-generational workforce, recognizing that we must strategically engage the Gen Zers, the Gen Xers, the millennials. We must. So we want to make sure that when you come, everybody has a voice. So we want to make sure that the older folk, they're comfortable with the younger folk, and the younger folk is comfortable with the older folk. So we have to make sure that we involve everybody. We have to make sure that we give everybody a voice. We have to look at the negative and positive of hiring. And I recognize in a study, I think it's Harvard, they said that soon there will be 70% of persons that are younger in the workforce, because the older persons are going to be retired. So we need to be able to accept, appreciate, create a framework for these new dynamics, recognizing that the older folks, they have institutional learning, and they have things that they can teach the younger people, and the younger people, they're all techie, so they have things that they can teach us quickly. I have some interns, and I share my office with 3 interns. I sit aside, give them my chair, and they assist me every day. You know, I want to hear what they're about, what they're talking about, and I want to give them a good experience of the civil service. So I can't give them a good experience if I push them aside and say, well, this is what I want done, and no, I let them come into my office. So I have a little side chair, and I share.
Yeah.
So we have to make sure that we are very holistic in the way we treat even our interns, because in turn we want them to come back to our office and be a brand for our office. Similar, I worked at the Ministry of People Empowerment. I had a really good time there. So we want to make sure that we encourage persons with different age groups to see the benefits of being young.
And everybody has something to add. So, you know, take that into consideration. Thank you so much, Cecilia Neblett-Brathwaite, leaving us with a lot to think about in terms of behavior change and the way that we should consider other people in the workplace. What I will say is as somebody who was a young whippersnapper was coming into the business. Sometimes you feel like, you know, your considerations, your ideas aren't considered and stuff like that, simply on age. And, you know, what I want to say is, you know, don't dismiss ideas simply because of who it's coming from. You should consider ideas from across the business. Thank you, Cecilia.
Thank you for having me.
All right, as usual. Hey, time for another break. I told you we had lots to get through today, and we still have not yet announced the finalists for the upcoming Courtesy Garage Pickety Crop finals. That is all coming up as well.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
It's 7:20 and we are in the middle of the hurricane season. Well, not middle yet. We just got going, but we got going to a pretty interesting start. So we want to make sure that you are prepared, and we're doing that with the compliments of the General Accident Insurance Company of Barbados Limited. Be a good neighbor. Check on your family and friends and neighbors, especially the elderly, those who live alone, those who have medical conditions, and those who may need additional assistance anytime there is a severe weather system that is approaching the island, or if there's something ongoing. So we want to make sure that you are on top of that. Remember, it all comes your way with the compliments of the General Accident Insurance Company of Barbados Limited. Stay aware and be prepared. We're going to jump right into another area where we want you to be prepared. That's taking care of yourself. So it's always great to see Master Therapist from Bamboo Retreat, Steve Andrews, join me in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Barbados.
I'm loving this orange. It's nice and vibrant.
Well, that's what Caribbean is all about. Vibrant, full of life, full of energy. Color is life. So basically, we like colors, so colors is like your red is just full of life as well.
Yeah, men just don't get colors though, because this is not red, Steve.
It's not red, it's right. You see, the same men never know colors, you know.
There are 3 guys told me about the red dress this morning. Hey, it's pink, man. That's okay. That's all right. And I see another guy off to the side saying it's pink. I just don't see the colors. But we want to talk about something special today, an upcoming trip to Africa.
Well, there are 2 things that we excited that we want to talk about. One is that I was now being asked to sit on a committee, which is the African Wellness Initiative. The African Wellness Initiative is really a platform or a part of the Global Wellness Initiative. And the Global Wellness Initiative is really the mouthpiece of wellness across the globe. And I was asked to sit on the African Committee, which is initiative which is helping to promote the health and wellness concept across Africa. And the role that they want me to take on is really the training arm of that initiative. When they asked me to be sit on that initiative, I was like, I'm not living in Africa. Why would you want me to do that? But because of what I'm doing in Africa, I mean, there's only 3 years I'm in Africa trying to do what I'm doing. And I think it was a really good opportunity for me to sit on a platform like this, that I would be able to spread my message and my idea across the continent. So I think it was a very, 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 very good place to sit on a committee like this.
So what is it that you're doing across the continent?
Well, I remember during COVID, they keep telling us go online and upgrade our skills. So I went online and looking to see how I can upgrade my skills. And I realized that it was a challenge for me to find what I'm looking for. So we get into it, talking to persons around the globe, Asia, Africa, and they asked me to do a class discussion online. So we start doing online classes, which is in massage therapy, and then expand into spa therapy. And by doing that, then they are being invited to come. I mean, I was to be in Asia to do training in Asia. It's not happened as yet, but I had the opportunity to travel on one of the trade missions with the BIDC, Export Barbados and Invest Barbados to Rwanda, and then we went off to Kenya. And I take the opportunity to make sure I try to find the spa operators that is there. And then a year after, I was back in Africa doing training. We did Rwanda, we did Kenya, and then we did Nigeria. So it becomes a place where now everybody's excited to be a part of what I'm trying to do, and in terms of training across the continent. So I'm basically in Africa doing training in terms of not just massage therapy, but spa therapists.
Let's talk about the role that spa therapy and even massage therapy can play in overall health and wellness.
Well, it's just such a powerful tool in what we do. The difference is, and maybe because this is why I'm having such a great impact. And I think we don't understand the level or the experience or the talent we have within this part of the region. And I remember when I was looking and to see how I can upskill myself and was looking around, and then the basic stuff, because what I'm saying that anyone can do massage. Massage is a basic thing. If you look at the concept of massage, it means rubbing with oil. But when you understand the elements of therapy and what therapy is all about and the impact that we have on the body, it's really about diving into what we do, touch, emotional connection, vibration, energy, all of those things. When we start looking at them, then we can understand the benefits of what we do. And then by looking, I realize a lot of person is not doing that. We're still focusing on the basic aspect, which is the technique and all of that. And then I start introduce this into the market or into the environment, and everybody was like, wow, we never thought about these things. So it's really helping person to just moving from the emptiness of just technique and just motion into the powers of what could be the powers of therapy. And I think by me doing this, the audience becoming bigger, the persons want me to be a part of it, is becoming louder. And I think that's why I'm having such a great impact on the globe right now in terms of what we are doing. So it's really not about the basic technique. It's understanding it and diving into it and helping people to how do we move from just normal rubbing technique into really healing component, because it's a very, 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 very powerful tool, but a lot of us really don't understand it. So when I teach, that's how I teach. And one of the unique things I found about myself is that I have the ability to figure things out. And I think I figured it out very late in my life, but I realized this is one of the unique factor about myself, where I can figure things out. And by figure things out, understanding learning patterns. I mean, I'm dyslexic. So when I'm teaching, I picked up the different learning patterns. So my class is not about I just can grab things and throw it at you. I try to fit into all the different individuals in my class. So if I see someone that learned from technique, you have to physically demonstrate, then I will go there. If I see someone will learn by talking to them and explaining, that's how my class is all about. It's about understanding learning patterns and fit into those learning patterns that everyone in my class will have the impact.
And that's so important. That's the only way that people will be successful, if they're able to have kind of that individual attention and they're able to learn from where they are, in the place where they are, kind of have a teacher or a tutor who can meet them there and kind of develop their skills. Because as you mentioned, some people are better at hands-on things, others might be better with theory. So to be able to guide you through the areas that might be a little tougher and help you sail through the ones that are not is very important. So I know you're heading back to Kenya in just a few months to continue
in September
continue teaching. But do you also offer those services, training in spa services and massage therapy here in Barbados?
Yes, we do classes. We had one like 2 weeks ago here in Barbados. I think one of our challenges that we keep hearing it all the time. We don't appreciate each other, which is one of those natural facts that if I say I'm doing a class, everybody say, oh, it's just Student Touch or it's just Bamboo Retreat or Steve Andrews. But I remember going back to Kenya, one of the challenges operating Africa is a very unique place to be. I think that we need to get up from here and go to Africa because, I mean, when you look at the market, I mean, my spa is crappy in Africa. When you go to Africa, you have spas with 21 therapists, 30 therapists, 50 therapists, huge facilities, and they are fantastic facilities. Some of the challenges is delivery of the services that they have challenges with, and this is what we are trying to help. So when I was thinking about going to Africa, when I went to Rwanda, we trained about 100, 200 person in our last trip. But some of the challenges that lots of the spas and operators, they are not what we call basically trained. They are where a person opened a spa and someone would train. So we have those deficiencies that we are trying to help them to develop. And because they are not accustomed to pay for training is one of the challenges that we have to work through by understanding, by showing them if you train, because training is like marketing. If you market something and someone comes to you and they don't enjoy what they have, they're going to move on to the next service, to the next person. So this is one of the things that we are working. So when I was speaking to some colleagues in Kenya, we were talking about these are some of the issues we were having. So I decided to work with a team in Kenya where we're going to have training, different facilities working. So it's really about what we are trying to do is to build that brand in Africa, in Kenya, what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and then hopefully that we can maximize the opportunity from there, whether opening facilities, whether developing product, because I'm also into creating natural product as well, and consultancy, because at this time people are engaging me in how do we build a spa, what are some of the things we can add to our spa. So it's tremendous opportunities within the future, but we have to work towards it because it's like a new upcoming. It reminds me when I started 28 years ago, that's where the space I'm going in. So I can bring all that experience that I have with me to help to develop that part of the continent as well.
Of course, you can't leave without mentioning about Bamboo Retreat and all that you offer to be able to help people realize everything we're talking about, health, wellness, relaxation, and make the connection with all of it.
Well, I think that's the important part, that by people understanding the kind of quality that we bring to the table, because we are not just here in Barbados doing what we are doing, but we are across the globe doing things. So all the things that we do, our massages, our facials, like our body treatment, and all the things that we do at the Bamboo Retreat, where I think that we need to start focusing and stop not taking us for granted until someone else snatches us and we are no longer around in terms of traveling around the globe. So it's really about appreciating and understanding the qualities that we bring to Barbados and across the region, and really start appreciating those kind of qualities that we have within our environment.
Absolutely.
itself.
And putting us in a different space where we think about what we have to export. Because here we are with a gentleman who we know for teaching massage therapy and so on here in Barbados and running spas, but he's able to take that knowledge to a whole new continent, to a whole other part of the world, and share. I want to thank you for coming in, Steve. Always wonderful to have you with us on Morning Barbados. And, you know, it's a great reminder of what it takes to be able to take care of ourselves. It doesn't only come down to what we put into our bodies and the exercise that we do, but how we treat ourselves as well, because the mental health is equally as important. And we look forward to hearing more about those trips to the motherland.
I will send you lots of photos and lots of pictures as well.
We definitely will
videos,
share.
yes.
All right, coming up, we're going to be talking about the folk concert as we get a little closer to the day of national significance on Friday. Levi King is in next.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Beun Ofar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb, and together we will travel the world.
From 98.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
All right, joining us now, she's online, is Dr. Lorena Montez, a cardiovascular surgeon, and she's joining us from Colombia. Good morning to you. Welcome.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for inviting me to the Morning Barbados.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about cardiovascular disease and how it impacts women in particular.
Okay, so yes, fortunately, there is like an awareness now, or a trend to awareness about it, because we are different. And just the cardiovascular diseases, when we start menopause, we just have more cardiovascular disease, or we just get to the same state that men were before. Our hormones before menopause are actually protecting us. But when we just get to menopause, if we had any pregnancy disease like hypertension of the pregnancy, or diabetes in the pregnancy, or any of the diseases, cardiovascular diseases associated to pregnancy, they will actually double or triple in the risk when we get to menopause. And the thing is, it's also very, very less diagnosed than in men. Because, you know, usually you go to the doctor, oh, I'm having this pain, and the pain is different in women than in men because of the characteristics of the arterial disease, for example, in coronary disease. So women will get to the doctor or to emergency room saying, oh, I'm having like this discomfort in my chest. It's not like the typical infarction that men get, like, oh, this is like an elephant in my chest or something like this. It will be different. And sometimes it will be kind of mistaken by anxiety or other symptoms. So women get diagnosed very late or later than men, and that actually impacts in our morbid mortality after that.
All right, so that's very interesting, the connection with women. And I want to step back a bit and look at women and cardiovascular disease from a different perspective. Now, we know that you are the first doctor to perform the first artificial heart implant in an adult in Latin America. So talk to us about the accomplishments of women in this particular area.
Okay, so I was the first woman in implanting a hermit tree in an adult in LATAM, not the first surgeon to do it. So yes, right now there is a small, actually, few percentage of 10 to 50% of women in cardiovascular surgery in Latin America, at least. Still low, the numbers, and also in United States it's low when you look at the numbers, but the trend is going up, which is a start. When you look at women in this particular area, which is mechanical support, mechanical circulatory support, you can see that we are fewer. Why? Well, this is an area that is, it requires kind of a much sacrifice, because you have to be on call very much. If you do transplant will get anytime. If you are doing mechanical circulatory support, shock cardiogenic patients will get anytime. It's an emergent pathology. It won't be planned like, okay, so you can be here at 9 a.m. because this is going to be planned. No, it will happen in the middle of the night or something like this. So it has some sacrifice, and you also have to study a lot more. And you also had a barrier. You had used to be like a men cardiovascular or cardiothoracic surgeons, men specialty of the field, if I may say. So to get there, it's been a path, but you can see there's every year you can see more women in all the meetings that we go, and which is actually very encouraging, because it's a beautiful field of our specialty. But I really hope it will continue growing, and of course you have to do a lot of sacrifices to get there, but they will pay back, I think.
Yeah, I know you're a part of a number of organizations that kind of support women in this field as well. Even in your profession as a medical director of the Center of Excellence for Myocardial Revascularization. So talk to us about your involvement and why you think it's necessary for women to support other women in this particular area.
Okay, so I'm actually the chair of the Women in Cardiac Surgery Committee for LACES. LACES is the Latin American Cardiovascular Surgery and Endovascular Surgery Association. And this committee was created because it was needed. So as I said before, there is, of course, a majority of men in the cardiovascular surgery area. It's also a majority in cardiology, some fields of cardiology like hemodynamics or interventional or electrophysiology. But the path it's starting, and part of starting this path and working in this path is to support each other and to create opportunities for other women and make it this path easier for them. So if you already just did something, performed something, arrived to a place, you have a job, you are in academics, you can pull other women up to you and help them. Have some mentors or search for mentors to help them. So this is pretty much what we are doing. We are actually creating. At first, we did a symposium in Cartagena back like 3 years ago to show the situation, how many we were, and if we were working, where we were working, and we did also show the results of a survey that showed things that were kind of very worrying, like not many balance between family and kids and all of that. More than like 70% had no kids, and more than 50% had not even a partner. Which and then because this may not be a problem at all, but when you ask in the next question in the survey if that had to if that was related to your career or because of your career? And the answer for this 80% of people was yes. So, and some other things like if you had another woman as partner in the work, if you had a leadership positions, and actually leadership positions in our field for women are very, 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 very tiny, few. So this is part of where we are working from the committee. Just finding mentors, finding opportunities for education, for academics, for publications, for leadership positions, like endorsing people to do some talks, be known, be visible. Also, discuss the cardiovascular surgery topics in women. I mean, for example, in December we have our meeting of the LACES meeting in ESCTS, which is the European Cardiothoracic Surgery Association, with STS, which is the Society of Thoracic Surgeons from US. And the LACES we will have a meeting at Buenos Aires in December. And one of the sessions is about cardiovascular surgery for women. What is different? So, for example, aesthetics. So women that have surgery, aesthetic surgery previously and need a heart surgery. So how will this affect the heart surgery? How can we approach this patient? And the difference between the vessels are different, the sizes, all of that. So we will discuss that in a session. And that is part of what the committee is doing, like to create this awareness also.
All right, that's beautiful. I want to thank you, Dr. Montez, for sharing with us. It's certainly wonderful to hear about all that women are doing across LATAM to be able to advance their own cause and the work that you're being applauded for doing in this particular area. So thank you and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
All right, so Dr. Lorena Montez, of course, sharing her experience as a cardiovascular surgeon in Colombia. And of course, she is a medical director. She's also performed she's the first female to perform an artificial heart transplant in an adult in Latin America. So very honored to have her sharing with us this morning on Morning Barbados. And rest assured, this won't be the last time you'll see her. We certainly hope she can join us again as we continue to explore how this uniquely affects women. So just an introduction, but certainly the first place we start. It's time for a break here on Morning Barbados, but stick around. There's lots more to come as we explore what's happening for the season of emancipation.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
From 98.1 to CBC TV8 comes the Sooka Avenue, the sweetest soca hour in radio. It's artists with new tunes and some old sweet ones too, jamming on the Sooka Avenue. Saturdays, join AON Skills and the crew down on Sooka Avenue. All new on CBC TV8. Feeling the festival.
From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
All right, we have a familiar face joining us now. Levi King, who's the external director for the Cropover Folk Concert. Good morning, Levi. Good to have you with us.
Good morning. Good morning. Glad to be here. Good to be here.
All right, so we have the Day of National Significance coming up on Friday, and there's a massive way that we're celebrating that on Friday, and it will all culminate with the folk concert.
Yes,
so let's
please.
talk about the connections.
Yes, well, we know the Day of National Significance is the day that we had the riots in 1937. So every year for Cropover, the folk concert is done to commemorate the riots and those who took part in the riots and the great names and even the common person who was involved. So this year, and every year is done in different ways. So sometimes it's a variety concert, sometimes it's a theatrical production. So this year is a theatrical production. Yeah.
Let's talk about what we can expect from this presentation.
Well, I was asked to produce a show, well, not produce, to create a show that involves elements of music, poetry, fling, spoken word, dance, and theater. So I developed a story that looks a little bit more personally into the lives of a fictional family who would have been alive at the time and what they would have went through surrounding the entire idea of how we used to live in those days and what led to the riots happening.
What do you want people to walk away feeling or thinking once they experience this production?
I would like people to basically turn a mirror to themselves and be able to see the similarities in how we live today compared to how people lived then, as well as the differences, to be able to appreciate the changes that were made because of the sacrifices that were made at the time, but also be able to look at our society critically and be able to say, well, some people feel some of these things haven't changed. So what can we as a society do to deal with those things?
Let's get into what it took to be able to pull it together, because putting together a production like this one means you have to draw on some quite a few resources to be able to, get things the way you want them to be.
Yeah, definitely. Well, first, have to big up Michelle Hinks-Cott. She's the script writer, so I developed the concept. She wrote the script, and I wrote most of the songs. Michelle also wrote most of the poetry, and we collaborated on some of the song/poetry in it. That's just Michelle. Olivia Hall choreographed, so we need a choreographer because we have a cast of 18 people. So this 18-person cast, phenomenally talented cast, and they're pulling out all the stops because they're really putting in their work professionally. Just the way that they're looking at everything, they've done everything like top tier. The NCF has been very, I wouldn't want to say helpful. They're literally doing what they're supposed to do. They're putting everything in place to make sure that it's happening. So we have it outdoors. That is in Golden Square, Freedom Park, where Clement Payne and Israel Level and them would have had their speeches at the time. And so to have an open air theatrical performance is already a lot, because you need the police involved to have certain permissions. You need the government to be able to set certain things in place. You have to sometimes redirect traffic, maybe those kind of things that you will have, setting up the stages and the sound and the lights and all of that stuff. And apparently before we even do the folk concert, there's an entire ceremony thing that's happening before to commemorate all these people and to celebrate and pay homage to Clement Payne.
I would imagine this is one of the reasons why it's themed full circle this time around, because here you are in the space where it all really started.
Exactly, and because we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of Cropover, they kind of want to make it memorable, big and memorable. So they're doing it in the space to commemorate where those things would have started, yeah.
Now, we talked about the script writers. You said you have a large cast. This also involved music.
Definitely. So we have Stefan Walcott, who is the overall music director, and he built the music based on the songs that I would have sent to him. And then he's kind of sharing the responsibility with a young musician called Shane Ryan. Shane Ryan is doing a wonderful job as a band leader who helped work with the cast more directly. So Stefan built the music, Shane brought in his 3-piece band, and they're working with the cast directly to build all the harmonies and everything, because everybody in the cast sings in the production.
What was the selection process like? Because I see some seasoned names, I see some new faces on the scene. So what was the selection process like? And how long have you been kind of preparing for Friday?
Okay, so we had auditions. Auditions were about 6 weeks ago, I believe. And we got a diverse cast in terms of ages and experience. So we have some people who are not as experienced, some people who are very experienced. So you have Jennifer Walker, one of the most experienced members of the cast, Akil Eiffel, who falls somewhere in between there, Nicoda Ellis, who is not inexperienced but still young in the industry. So it's good to see, and Kiara Harper, who they play the lead roles, and they're all varying levels of experience, and but all of them phenomenal talents. So we auditioned, and in order to do this, you had to sing. And because we're taking a different format, because they asked us to do something that's unique and that could change the way we perceive the folk concert, people had to do different types of songs. So you can't necessarily expect that we're going to come and sing like Riot Cindy Land and those kind of things that you would have seen before. It's an entirely different way that we're approaching the production.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, especially hearing you talk about it. When you reflected on the riots and back then and kind of bringing this story to life, you know, where did you have to go as a creative to be able to bring this shape of a story to the fore?
Well, as a creative, what I did was I looked at the way a lot of people feel nowadays. A lot of things I've seen said on social media, sometimes the way I would have felt myself personally. And when I look at the state of society and the way things are, sometimes when, you know, we all lament about the bills that we have sometimes, and sometimes we might lament about how we have to struggle to pay them and how difficult things can be at times for us. So as I thought about the thought process that goes behind that lamentation or those sorrows we tend to have, and I hear a lot of the word on the ground and a lot of people who feel like some things are the same as they were back then and some things are different. So I was like, okay, well, how can I work that into something that feels personal? So I decided, what if we look directly into the household and into their lives? And if we get right into their lives, then it means that we can connect with them because we could see ourselves in them. Because you could see yourself in somebody who's struggling if you're struggling too, right? And if somebody's successful, you could see yourself in them if you're successful as well. So I want us to look at where we're the same and different. And so I had to find that in myself to come up with the idea. But Michelle wrote the script. Michelle wrote the script in like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Michelle Hinkson cost
what have rehearsals been like with you guys prepping for Friday?
Yeah, so this is the 4th week of rehearsals. Now we're in the technical stage of rehearsals. And the first set of rehearsals were just acting. So I knocked out the acting scenes first because I wanted to make sure that the drama element, the theatrical element was tight. I wanted to make sure that we knew all of the ups and downs and the nuances in the scenes, and that the actors were as prepared as it could be, because once music came in and dance came in, then everything kind of would go over there. So we had to separate the rehearsals in those ways. So acting first, then we brought in dance, and dance, Olivia killed it with the choreographies. And then Shane Ryan came in with the music, and they work in the dance and the choreographies and everything, because they're singing and dancing at the same time.
Wow, that's some interesting stuff. We look forward to seeing you.
Yeah, man.
And it comes off tomorrow at Golden Square,
Friday.
Freedom Park. Wednesday is today, Friday.
Yeah, Friday the 26th, the 26th.
At Golden Square, Freedom Park, 6 o'clock, and it is your kind of price. It's free.
Free 99. Barbados, that is, I don't know which camera on right now, but free. Free is the best Bajan price, and it's early. It's starting at 6 p.m. So you could still go to events after, and it's in Bridgetown. So it's central. You could get there, come and support the young talents and everything, pay homage to the people who fought for the rights that we have today, and then, you know, go and party after.
87 years on. 87 years on is interesting to see how this story will be presented in a different way. The 1937 People's Rebellion is going to be very interesting to see how it's presented as a musical, so
as a musical, yeah.
I look forward to seeing that. From director Levi King, scriptwriter Michelle Cox, choreographer Olivia Hall, musical directors Dr. Stefan Walcott and Shane Ryan, featuring Nicola Ellis, Jennifer Walker, Kiara Harper, Philip Eno, Akil Eiffel, Atiba Seeley Thompson, and many, many others.
And many others. So, and a set designed by Mark Maynard as well.
Set designed by Mark Maynard.
Mark Maynard is a stalwart in the set design industry.
Good stuff. It's called Full Circle.
Full Circle.
Make sure you come out Friday and be a part of the presentation, presenting our folk concert in a different way. All right? Thanks for coming in, Levi. Always good to see you.
Thank you for having me. Always good to see you too.
Good stuff. As we head toward the 8 o'clock hour, don't you go anywhere because we have still a little bit to go before we wind up today's presentation. No, you guys aren't going to break? Peter is pointing at things. You know how he does. All right, so let's get into it. Now, I told you that the finalists have been announced. We got the notice a little bit earlier. Let me tell you of some of the people who will be heading forward in the finals. That's right. They are going to be going to the courtesy finals. That's right. So Colin Spencer, Darren Holder, Eric Lewis, Grateful Cole, Imara, John Yard, Sammy Dello, Sammy G, Trinity, AC, Biggie, Irie, Crystal Tay, Billboard, Mr. DJ, Cerule, Kid Sight coming up. Quan is the reserve, and they're going to be facing off with your king, iWeb. Now, you would note that when we launched our own Cropover offering, guess what? Grateful Cole said that crown is mine this year, and he made a bet with our DJ from 98.1 the one Hachi. We will see how far he will get with that, but congrats to everybody, and we most certainly look forward to seeing you on stage and performing. There's a public health talk, Cropover culture and cardiac disease, linkages and solutions, and it will be featuring many doctors in that particular area. Dr. Kenneth Connell, Dr. Marilyn Lawrence Wright, Dr. Yannick Hume, Dr. Dawn Scantlebury, and of course it will be chaired by communication specialist at the QEH, Shane Seeley. So make sure you get out and be a part of that. Reservations are required. All right, we're calling all guides for Guide Rally at Pax Hill is coming off on the 25th of July from 12:30 to 3:30. So make sure you go and be a part of that. The open day is coming up with booths and international link-ups and Girl Guides Got Talent, Kids Zone, foods and drink on sale, and a whole lot more will be a part of it. So there you have it. This Thursday, that's tomorrow, you have the finalists going forward for the Junior Monarch, the Scotiabank Junior Monarch competition. They are going to be competing in 2 areas, and it was postponed from last week, but it is coming off on Thursday at the Wilde Gymnasium. If you don't yet have your ticket, make sure you grab your ticket now and come out and support the juniors. Of course, it will be live on CBC TV 8. Kira P was here late last week, and she was here telling us all about what she's going to be doing for Cropover. Now you can see her up close and personal for a meet and greet. So get out and celebrate with Kira P being here home. Contemporary offerings. That, of course, is the second presentation of Diffusing Borders in Color, Motion, and Form, presented by the Central Bank of Barbados. It's the Cropover Visual Arts Exhibition during the season of emancipation, and it's at the Queen's Park Gallery. It goes through until August 3rd. So go on in and check it out. Over 50 artists on display and in all different forms. So the gallery is open from Monday to Saturday from 10 until 6 o'clock in the evening. No excuses. Make sure you go on through and check it out. Plus, Cropover 50 years in the making presents the Palin Fete on Tweedside Road, bringing back memories with the unit band, Plastic Bag, Gabby, Blood, Biggie, Irie Raseli will be there, Mikey, Rupee, Alan Shepherd and Spice and Company, Lil Rick, DJ Dove, and more. It's only $50 to get in. So make sure you go on out and check that out. Plus, Team Barbados, the flag bearers are Jack Kirby and Sade Williams. And we're taking you on a hashtag BIM Voyage. So make sure you tune into TV8. We're going to be bringing you all the action from the Paris Games 2024. Team Barbados will be there. Tristan Evelyn, Matthew Wright, Sade Williams, Jack Kirby representing for Barbados. So wishing them all the best. Plus, we are supporting the reunion being put on by Team Mikey and the charity. That is this Friday, July 26th, and it's a Fetter's Paradise. I don't know if I can go because they said no heels allowed, and you know how I get down, but everybody is going to be there. So make sure you grab your tickets. It's for a worthy cause. All money, all proceeds go towards charity, and that is very, very important. So make sure you go on out and support that. Plus, we want you to know that Morning Barbados will be off air from tomorrow to August 11th for coverage of the Olympic Games in Paris. We will be back with you on Monday, August 12th, but we'll be watching behind the scenes, and we certainly hope you will too. Have a great day today. Have a wonderful week ahead. Tune in for the Olympics. Be safe. Miss me a lot. I'm going to miss you too. See you on August 12th. God willing. Bye-bye.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning.